welcome to another edition of Talk with Confidence. This is where we have inspirational conversations with inspirational people. Today I have a truly inspiring person in studio with us. His name is Simon Nteso and he's a psychologist. Simon, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
No, thanks for the invite. Thanks for the invite.
Wonderful. So psychology.
Yes.
It's a topic or a sphere that tends to be mystified a little bit. You know, there's a lot of myths around psychology. Some people think, you know, psychologists are able to look at you and study you and know everything about you. Is it true? What are the myths, some of the myths around psychology, and are they true? Are they not true?
Well, there's most definitely a lot of myths going around regarding psychology, and one of those is what you've just mentioned now, whereby you will tell a person that you are a psychologist, and they'll immediately say, "Can you read my mind?" And you have to be honest and tell them, "No, I cannot read your mind."
Yeah.
Psychology is based on behaviors. So you cannot read a person's mind, but the sort of behavior that a person tends to give out will inform more or less where their thinking lies. So we are not fortune tellers.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
We just evaluate a person's behavior, and we try to see more or less what could be the driving force behind that behavior.
And what got you into psychology? What was your journey into this particular field?
Well, it was quite interesting. At first, I didn't want to study psychology. I would say it's sort of fate in a way. I wanted to study accounting. Wanted to be a chartered accountant, or a lawyer, but I ended up applying for psychology just as a means of not staying at home or taking a gap year after my matric. And then during the first year, I sort of started liking psychology, and I decided I'm just going to take it on and forget about accounting and law. What got me interested in psychology is the fact that you get to deal with human behavior, and you get to understand why people do some of the things they do, and why they behave in a certain way. So for me, that's quite intriguing, because when you study psychology, you don't endeavor to understand just a person, the next person, but it enlightens you on yourself as well. So you get to understand yourself better. You get to understand why people have certain moods, why people might prefer being alone at times, why people don't like company, keeping the company of other people, why do people tend to act in certain ways that they act. And it becomes puzzling if you don't understand such things, because you look at a person and you think a person is weird, and we don't understand the logic behind how a person acts the way they act. So psychology opens that up to you, and you get to understand people. So your approach to people becomes quite different when you study psychology. You come with an understanding approach, you know. And
wonderful. I mean, I see the passion as you talking about it, but it's interesting that it wasn't your initial inclination.
Yes, it was.
There were other fields, but you've fallen in love with the field, and I truly see the passion. So are you saying that it's possible that you may not have an inclination for something, but once you get into it, you can start falling in love with it?
It can happen at times. It can happen. Just as in my case, wanting to do law or accounting, and ultimately falling into psychology and liking and loving it, rather. At times, let's talk more about. Let's delve into this a bit. At times, you get people that are good at something, but they do not want to pursue it. You get a person that's good at, for instance, mathematics, would think that a person like that would make a good actuary scientist, but maybe the person just wants to go do art, wants to act, and they don't want to do anything pertaining to mathematics or anything like that. It depends. It just goes with what appeals to your personality and your abilities. That's where career psychology comes in.
Yes. What are some of the factors or the issues around career psychology? I mean, it's something that, you know, a lot of young people, especially, they go to tertiary, they go into a particular path, and they don't even finish it because they find this is not a fit for me, you know. What are some of the things that should inform you as you go into a particular career from a psychological point of view?
There's a lot of things that go into a career that many people do not know. First of all, you as a person, you have your personality, right? You like certain things. Some things are appealing to you, which might not necessarily be appealing to me. And there are capabilities which you have, which the next person might not have. So that we call your cognitive abilities, right? And then you have your values, your value systems.
Yes.
This is what informs you growing up. So what values were instilled in you coming up when you were growing up. And those things play a role in terms of your interest in, such as being your interest in a career. For instance, let's say I grew up in a rural area and I saw a lot of people being sick. I had a passion for people and I've always wanted to heal people, you know. So I have that personality. I love people. And then there's that values in me whereby I value people around me and I value their health. So I value the next person being well. And then I have that ability at school, let's say for mathematics and science.
Yes.
I do well in mathematics, science and biology, right? And now you combine those things and I decide I want to be a doctor. It's going to accommodate all those factors.
Yes.
And ultimately I'll become a success if I want to become a doctor.
So it's not just about, I mean, you give the example of the guy who's good at maths, but they go into art.
Yes.
So it's not just about what you are good at, it's also about what you're passionate about.
It is.
So the two, because passion also speaks to values.
It does.
So the two need to marry. There needs to be a point where what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about come together, and that should inform my particular direction.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. I mean, you also work with companies, consulting for them. What has that journey been, and what do you do exactly for them?
You do a lot of different types of work depending on companies. I'm predominantly in the industrial psychology field. So you get to deal with a lot of people within the workplace.
Yes.
So I deal with people's interaction with their work. So I deal with the human factor, but also how they interact with their work environment as well. Okay. And you'd find that sometimes within the workplace, you get people that are different and they come with different needs. There's a theorist, a theorist. His name is Maslow. He had a hierarchy of needs. And when you study that hierarchy, you see that there are things that a person needs in order to sort of be well. You know, and one of the important things at the bottom of the hierarchy is the physiological needs. Those are your daily living things, the things that you need to survive on a daily basis, your shelter, water, your food. And then the next one is security, you know, and the next one is the need to be loved, you know, the belonging. And then the next one is your esteem needs, your self-esteem and the likes, and then the last one is your self-actualization. I'm just touching on that a bit to get back to what we were talking about. Now, as a psychologist who deals with people in the workplace and how they interact within the workplace, you find that people enter the workplace with different needs, right? So we have people from different backgrounds coming into the work environment. And now their different backgrounds will inform their needs.
And how they interact with one another.
And how they interact with one another. Ultimately, that will motivate or inform their behavior within the workplace. You'll get people that are quite hungry for success. They get into the workplace, they are always there. They are your typical corporate animals. And then you get people that are just there to, just to
make a living.
To make a living. You get those that are there to fulfill themselves. So there are different motives which inform people's behavior within the workplace, and that is informed by their different backgrounds.
And where they are at a particular stage in that hierarchy.
Yes.
There's something I want us to delve into. You mentioned it in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is self-esteem.
Yes.
I mean, self-esteem is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially younger people, but even people beyond their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s, What is self-esteem in its essence, and what informs a negative or a positive self-esteem?
Well, just to simply put it, self-esteem is a person's feelings, his or her thoughts or opinion about themselves, right? So how you feel about yourself, what you think about yourself, and ultimately your opinion about yourself informs your self-esteem. Now, this concept is not a fixed concept, right? I think that's one of the things that we need to touch on. It's not a fixed concept. It's a variable that can change over time. As you change your thoughts, your feelings and opinions about yourself,
your self-esteem can change.
It changes. If you have a negative self-esteem, because people that have a negative self-esteem tend to look down at themselves. It's your typical person who thinks that they do not deserve good things in life. They look at themselves in an inferior way. So they compare themselves with another person and think, okay, this person is better than me. I'll never be as good at it as this person. And to be honest, we are all different. And now a person who suffers from low self-esteem will shun or disregard the fact that they are unique in their own way, and instead of focusing on their unique talents or gifts or stuff they're good at, for lack of a better word, they focus on things that they do not have, right? And so that affects their confidence.
So it's all about perspective.
It's all about your perspective about yourself.
And also, I mean, one thing that I think is quite important that you've mentioned is a lot of people who have a negative self-esteem, they're always in a mode of comparison. So they're saying, what do I lack in contrast to the next person? So their low self-esteem is informed by the fact that they're saying Simon has XYZ, which I do not have, therefore I am lesser. I'm a lesser person, I'm a lesser human being. So do you think the comparison factor is one of the things that it's really destroying people's self-esteem?
It does. In a way, when you look at, for instance, social media. Social media is one of the, in my opinion, just to put it out there, in my opinion, it's one of the, it can be a good tool, but it's one of the things that actually damage a lot of people's self-esteem. Because at times, people do not take time to look at themselves and appreciate their good qualities and celebrate them. And then as a result, they would want people to celebrate them.
Like?
Yeah. Any likes, any comments. And that, it's just like putting paraffin. It doesn't last. It doesn't last because you are gonna thrive on that.
And then the more you have of it, the more you want.
The more you want, and when it's not coming, it becomes a problem. You start questioning yourself now. Does it mean that you're, for a lady, does it mean that I'm not beautiful enough? Does it mean that I'm not appealing? You know, such things, which is not true.
And I mean, even with ladies, you find women going to the extent of you know, almost stripping themselves naked. You know, you find ladies wearing as little as possible, posting it out on social media just to get that affirmation from people, you know, guys commenting, you're so this, you're so that. And I guess it also takes you on a particular path.
It does.
But I guess that's also the anchor of self-esteem, because if you don't have that self-esteem, then you're always relying on others, and you make yourself vulnerable to abuse of other people. I mean, in terms of the work that you do, what role does self-esteem play? Let's say in the workplace, people who have low self-esteem versus people who have high self-esteem. What are some of the differences that you've noticed?
Well, one of the most notable things is that a person with low self-esteem within the workplace tends to be that person who thinks that they cannot achieve or they cannot excel within their work. Most of the times, these people also have a fear of making mistakes. So they will fear asking questions because they will think that if I ask a question regarding my work, this person will think that I'm stupid.
Or I'm incompetent.
I'm incompetent, which is not true, which is far from the truth. And that damages them in the long run because they cannot reach their maximum potential and they cannot perform as good as they want to. Whereas on the other hand, a person with good or high self-esteem is a person who learns from their mistakes. They do not fear making mistakes because they learn from them. And one of the other things is that they are confident in their approach to what they do within the workplace, and that allows them the space or the opportunity to learn
and excel.
So there's a huge difference between the two opposites, the low and the high self-esteem within the workplace. It has a potent effect on a person's ability to excel or not to excel within a company in the long run.
I mean, it's quite a heavy topic because it informs a lot of things, so many aspects. I mean, it will inform your relationships, whether with your spouse, with your kids, with your family, with your friends. It will inform your workplace. It will inform the entire spectrum of your life. Now, to somebody struggling with self-esteem, what are some of the tips that you'd give them in order for them to raise their level of self-esteem so they can start excelling in the various spheres of their life?
You know, at times it starts with how you perceive yourself. I'd say at times just take time to appreciate yourself. Stop looking at negative things regarding yourself. Take time to appreciate the good things that you have or the positive characteristics or traits that you have. And once you start appreciating them more, it gives room for positivity within yourself. And then you'll just look at the negative elements within yourself as things that can be improved as well. So you need to actually affirm yourself in a sense.
It starts within yourself.
Within yourself. If you are smart, and you know you are smart, you are not going to wait for us to tell you that you are smart. Even if we tell you that you are smart,
it's just confirmation.
Confirmation. I know that I'm smart.
Yes.
So even if people don't say I'm smart, I know that I'm smart. Exactly. I don't need people to tell me that I'm smart. You know, so it starts with you telling yourself that you are something. If you are a good person, tell yourself you're a good person. Be a good person. Don't wait for us to tell you that. It should be something that you already know, and us telling you should just be a confirmation, not something that will come as a surprise to you. Hey, but hey, you are smart, and then you're like, oh, I'm smart.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, you always want us to tell you the same thing. You want us to be parrots now and parrot something, talk something over and over and over again, just to build yourself up. No, it can't work like that. It must be something that starts from within. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love that. So what I'm getting from that is identity. Knowing yourself, it's at the core, is the root of a good self-esteem.
It is. There's a lot of things, especially in psychology, you'll get to know that human beings are very complex.
True.
They are very complex. You'll never study a person and conclude or finish a person.
It's an ongoing book.
It's an ongoing book with no conclusion, no end.
Simon, you've been wonderful. Thank you, my brother.
Thank
and
you
we will
very
have you
much.
back to talk deeper
and
just delve into other spheres and areas within psychology. But thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you, Miranda.
Wonderful. That was inspiring. I'm inspired. I'm sure you've been inspired. And that was Talk with Confidence, conversations that inspire. Do join us again next time right here on Global Conference Television. Hey, Tada.